more games in the last 6 years than anybody in the state of Texas.
Catch is blocked. Throws and incomplete. SMU wins.
Dallas deserves a big-time college football team.
Jennings, side of the end zone. Touchdown!
You don't just want to be a head coach, you want to be a head coach at the right place at the right time.
SMU has now won 11 games for the second straight season.
Hi, and welcome to a special edition of ACC Huddle. This is Wes Durham, and pleased today to be joined by the head coach of the Southern Methodist University Mustangs, Rhett Lashlee. How are you?
I'm good. Good to be with you.
Thanks, you too. How did last year happen? How's that simple start?
Boy, which part of last year? You know?
Just, I mean, you knew coming in the league you had a good program.
Yeah.
You had a good team. And then you delivered.
Yeah, I mean, look, we went into the season. We did feel good about our team. You know, we had a lot of guys returning. We had a lot of good senior leadership on a team that had won 11 games in a conference championship the year before. And so having that coming back helped a lot. Guys knew what it took to win a championship. They knew what it took to win big games. But we were stepping up in weight class. We were going into a different realm. And so I think the team chemistry, the culture, the unity that group had, our staff did a great job. But we just went in with one mindset. We didn't set a goal other than we broke the season into 4 quarters. 3 games, 3 games, 3 games, 3 games. And our goal was to win every quarter and sweep as many as we could. And at the same time, we just wanted to compete and prove we belonged. And our guys did an excellent job of just kind of segmenting the season, and they ended up winning every single quarter.
It also felt like that nobody new to college football was playing with as much passion and excitement for success as SMU was.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of excitement. I mean, our university had waited for 35 plus years to be back on that stage.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I've said before, it was some programs get the opportunity to move into a power conference for the first time. It's happened here in the last several years in other conferences. And that's a big deal because they've never been there before. But our school had been there.
Yeah.
Our program had been there. So from a fan base and from that perspective, a lot of people felt like, man, this is just an opportunity to prove we belong again and we're back where we belong. From our players' standpoint, they were excited. You know, they had a chance to compete on the biggest stage against the highest caliber of competition. And if you're a competitor, then you love that opportunity.
We were just kind of, you know, it's going to be great to have you in the league, enjoyed watching your program. Did you have a sense last year could happen a year ago?
You know, I don't know if I thought we'd go undefeated in the conference, but yeah, I thought we would compete, and I thought we would surprise people. I didn't know what that looked like. Was that going to be just go to a bowl game in our first year, or was it go 8-4, or was it get to Charlotte and get back to a conference championship? You know, we kind of felt that everybody's like, hey, we're glad you're here. Let's see how well you can do. But nobody really had a lot of expectations for us. But internally, we did. You know, we told our team first day of fall camp, we're still defending champs.
Yeah.
Now, we're not defending this league. We're defending champs, so let's act like it. And, man, our kids did that.
I'm curious, since the season ended, and I know the 2 losses at the end are tough to take, how have you and your team been now embraced by not just the SMU community, but certainly the Metroplex? It just feels like everything is layered up every time you turn around.
Yeah, the beauty of where we are and the strength of our situation is, so SMU, it's an incredible academic institution right in the heart of Dallas. We are a school with rich history and tradition that has now been winning. I mean, we've won more games in the last 6 years than anybody in the state of Texas. But there's not another Division I school within 30 miles of Dallas, which is one of the, you know, most vibrant markets in the entire country. And so, but Dallas is like any other big city, they like winners. And so we had to prove we could win. But as soon as you prove you can start winning, then the city will embrace a winner. And I mean, that's how we were able to sell out Ford Stadium. That's how we were able to become Dallas's team. Again, being one of the best cities in the country, Dallas deserves a big-time college football team. We're lucky to be the only option. And for us to deliver, I think, is big. And it just continues to connect ourselves with the city. And that's how, not just with our alumni, but that's how we can build a sustainable national championship level program. Is embracing all of Dallas and Dallas embracing SMU back.
Look, you've seen it 2 different ways there, head coach and certainly when you're there as the offensive coordinator. the Dallas thing, like you wear the jerseys, you have the logo for the helmet. That's real. I mean, that's intentional about where the university wants to be with the city, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're SMU. We're the Mustangs. That's our brand. That's who we are. But I think when Mayor Eric Johnson became the mayor of Dallas and allowed us to use the Triple D, which is the City of Dallas's logo, and just put the Mustang in it instead of the kind of the leaf that's in the normal one, I think it helped signal to the whole city, like we're reaching out to the city. And once we started to have some success, the city has slowly reached back, not only in just our fans and people come up, but in recruiting and those connections. And again, I think we need each other. And so far, it's been a great partnership.
How important is it your players know the story of 40 years ago?
I think it's important that they know where we came from. Now, there may be some of the weeds we don't have to get into with them.
Right.
But, you know, they need to know Doak Walker played at SMU.
Yeah.
You know, they need to know about the Pony Express, and everyone knows about Eric Dickerson and Craig James. What's cool is our kids still know who those guys are, right? But like, how about Jerry Ball and Reggie Dupart and Harvey Armstrong and Jerry Levias? And I could go on and on. There were some really good defenses on those teams. They need to know, because it's, again, you want to go to a program that has proven it can do it. And SMU has proven it can do it. It's just been a long time. But if you're coming out of almost like a wilderness situation, and we're trying to maybe do things differently or do things that have never been done before or not in a long time, it's still important for them to understand where everything started, because SMU wouldn't be where it is and the program wouldn't still be where we are if it wasn't for a lot of those people. So I think history is something that we always try to educate our guys on, so they understand where we came from.
I want to touch on one part of last year. You had to make a hard decision early in the year, change quarterbacks, and a kid that was a team leader from the jump in Preston Stone. In hindsight, hard decision at the time. You're the head coach, you got to make those, right? But what did it do for both Kevin Jennings and Preston Stone to galvanize your team to be as successful?
Well, it's a great question. Yeah, I mean, it was probably the hardest decision to execute, in other words, carry out, that I've had to make as a head coach without question, maybe as a coach in general. But it was one of the easier decisions to know what to do. Like, it became very obvious, this is what's best for our football team, and that's ultimately the job. But it's going to be really hard because you're going to hurt somebody you care a lot about. And but it was unanimous on our staff at that point. I think our team felt it. What our team needed was consistency and direction as a group, and our offense needed an identity. And until we had those things, we weren't going to go anywhere. So we made the decision to go with Kevin. The way Kevin handled it obviously propelled our team. But I think equally important was how Preston handled it. And we sat down, and I mean, again, I'd recruited him since he was 9th going into 10th grade. And so it's really hard to tell someone something they don't, you know, that's going to disappoint them. And in that moment, maybe feel like everything's fallen on them. But I remember telling him, look, this is one of the hardest news, you know, this is some of the hardest news you probably ever had to hear in your short life. But how you handle it will go a long way for you and your future, and it'll also dictate how this team goes. And man, to his credit, he stayed. He was an incredible teammate. He cheered on Kevin. I think of the Louisville game when Kevin gets the wind knocked out of him. Preston comes in and one play throws a touchdown.
Right.
Runs right off, never plays again. We win by 7. You know, but how he handled it, both of those guys, really helped galvanize our team and bring us together. Preston ended up graduating in December. He finished, and now he's got a chance to be the starting quarterback at Northwestern and play his final season. So, yeah, tough situation all in all, but, you know, that's life.
Hard decision at home too, huh? You make a quarterback change, and that kid's close to your family.
I mean, he
It's
was the
not just coach player.
Preston's picture was a screensaver on my boy's phone, you know, or his iPad. And, I mean, again, close to all of them. But, yeah I mean, we being my wife, my kids and I, we get invested in all our guys. They come over to the house and we hang out. And so, you know, that's hard when you have to make those decisions that are going to hurt people you care about.
Part about your story that I love and am fascinated by is your patience as a person. You had a lot of patience to be a head coach, finally get an opportunity. How do you process those experiences of maybe thinking you're going to be a head coach and it doesn't happen, but then when it happens, how does that work to benefit you now being the head coach at SMU?
It's funny you use the word patience. 'Cause I don't think my wife would agree I've got a lot of patience. We run our offense at a 2-minute pace and no huddle because I don't have a lot of patience. But you are correct. The journey I've had professionally has been one of patience. When you're young, you're not as patient, and it's easy to kind of let your mind drift and think ahead. And I got hired by Pat Sullivan at 27 to be the offense coordinator in Sanford, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. I'm 27 years old, going to call plays for a Heisman winner. I don't know why he hired me, but he did. And I had this, I'm going to come in. They've scored this many points a game. We're going to get better. I'll be the OC at this school. Then I'll be a head coach. You got it all ironed out. And I remember going through the spring and started to realize this coaching thing's pretty hard. And I'm just up at the office in June one day in the summer. And I just thought, fortunately, the Lord just allowed it to come over me like, man, how blessed are you? My boys were not even a year old yet. It was my first full-time job. I was like, you're getting to call plays at 27 in college football, and it's not even big-time college football, which was probably good. And for a Heisman winner, like, man, just enjoy where you are. And then, it's funny when you get that perspective.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the road's easy. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of ups and downs, because that was 27, and I didn't get hired to be a head coach till like 38. And had a lot of good times in those 10 years and had a lot of opportunities. People thought it would happen sooner. And what you learn along the way is you learn to enjoy the moments, be where you are. Because if you don't do a good job with what you're doing now, those other opportunities aren't going to come anyways. And you don't just want to be a head coach. You want to be a head coach at the right place at the right time. And there was probably other opportunities that maybe I was ready for, but it wasn't the right opportunity. Or maybe there was times I thought I was ready, but deep down I probably needed a little more time to go through some other experiences. And it all led me to SMU at the right time when I was ready. And now look at the opportunity I have to be here at a time like this. So it's neat to see that journey and that patience, as you call it, pay off.
Rhett, is there any possible way to measure the impact of Gus Malzahn on your career?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Probably not in the short amount of time we have.
Yeah.
I think from an intangible standpoint, first of all, a lot of us have former coaches.
Sure.
That mean a lot to us. And I have 2 former coaches in my life, Gus being one and another one being Chris Wood, that really shaped me as a coach, as a young man, as a person. I think from an intangible standpoint, what I learned from Gus, starting in 7th grade all the way through my time in high school, and then continued to learn as a coach for him a lot of different times, was he demands that you have high expectations of yourself. And so what he does is he helps you create this high achieving mentality of yourself in a good way. Like you're really never satisfied. And when you are, he doesn't let you be satisfied. You know what I mean? He helps push you. I think what all great coaches do, they help you be better than you could be on your own. He helped push me as a person, as a player, to be better than I thought I could be or could be on my own, and just didn't let me get comfortable and settle, right? And then, of course, from a football standpoint, a lot of the foundational things that I learned over the years, I attribute to him. And then most importantly, opportunity. A lot of times it's not what you know, it's who you know. And he gave me opportunities as a player and several times as a coach to be where I am.
All right, real quick, in doing some research for this, I ran across that there was some deviation from coaching along the way in the early days. And there was something called High School Sports, the magazine.
Yeah.
There was some deviation from coaching along the way in the early days. And there was something called High School Sports, the magazine.
Yeah.
Were you a publisher? What was going on there?
I made a choice at 28, or no, I'm not 28, 24, to after 1 year as a GA at Arkansas, to basically not go to Tulsa with Gus. And I got out and pretty much figured I'd ended my coaching career. And then I was engaged. I was getting married in a few months. And then I realized pretty quickly, not only did I end my coaching career, but I got to get a job. And so it just so happened to be there was a group in Tulsa that had a company called High School Sports, the magazine. Think of a Sports Illustrated for high school sports, if you will.
Yeah.
And they had been doing really good in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. Well, my brother-in-law's cousin was the owner of those magazines. So he said, well, Rhett played high school sports in Arkansas, and at Arkansas, like, he's got a good, hey, would y'all want to do this in Arkansas? And we said, sure, I need a job. And so I was sales, I was marketing, I had an editor. I didn't do any of the writing. But I learned a lot about journalism, from behind the scenes. And so, I was basically the I guess, publisher of the magazine. I didn't know anything about a magazine, but I knew about, whatever. And so I did that for 22 months and realized really quickly I want to coach. So
Where does running High School Sports, the magazine, the Arkansas edition, where does that factor into today? Is there anything about that that clicks today?
oh yeah, I mean, sales, dealing with people. I was 24 years old leading a small team. You know, I think it just goes back to every part of the journey matters. So had I have not done that, which makes no sense, and I'm still fortunate that Gus hired me back in '09 to go back to Auburn because I really shouldn't have had a chance to get back in. What it allowed is my wife and I, the first 22 months we were married, I wasn't a college football coach. And so it gave us a chance to have a foundation that, who knows, because she didn't think she was marrying a football coach. So, I mean, for all I know, had I not done that, the first year, she might have been like, hey, dude, it's either me or we're out. And by the time we got to 2 years down the road, we realized what life was going to look like if we didn't do something different. She knew. She's like, no, you need to go do this. And so then it allowed her to be all in on this journey we've been able to get on. So I think it goes back to whether it be me getting out for those 22 months, whether it be going to Connecticut for a year, whether it be the patience of the journey taking so long. It goes back to it. Thank God I'm not in charge of my story. Because if I was, I'd have pulled myself out and put myself where I wanted to a long time ago. And as I went through it, the good and the bad helped prepare me to be where I am now.
It's interesting. The two guys that played for the ACC championship last year both deviated from coaching. Dabo was in commercial real estate in Birmingham for 18 months or so. And for 22 months, you were one of the great publishing magnates of Arkansas.
Magnet, I like that word.
I mean, does that factor into just journeys at times where guys are coaching, they don't, then they come back to it. They're fortunate to get re-engaged, let's be honest, about the system.
Oh, yeah.
The way the works now, that's hard.
Well, think of Dabo, and I don't know, I'm sure his is similar to mine, that I'd grown up, I'd played football since I was in the first grade. And I went all through high school. And then I played for a couple years at Arkansas. He did the same at high school and at Alabama. And it's all you've known. And I mean, you could get burned out to some degree. And sometimes when you step away, that's when you realize, no, one, I really love this, but I also feel called to do this. And honestly, I don't know if I can be happy doing anything other than this. And then to your point, fortunately, we were able to get back in.
When you get the head job at SMU, you leave Miami, go back and become the head guy. I am curious, your success rate there is really impressive.
Yeah, you know, success is really hard. I mean, there's a reason we won back-to-back 11-win seasons, and that had never been done in our school's history.
Sure.
That's hard, but sustained success is harder. And that's kind of where we find ourselves is, okay, are we going to get comfortable and go, oh, well, you know what, we had a really good first year in the ACC, everybody's patting us on the back, and now we become comfortable with that and a little bit complacent, and when that happens, progress stops. Or do we still stay hungry and feel like, no, we got something to prove? Because after my first year, I know we felt like we had something to prove as a program. We had to get better on defense. We had not won a conference championship in 40 years. Boom, we go do it. Well, then we're going to the ACC. So now, again, we felt like we had something to prove. We need to prove we belong. We need to prove that, you know, we're worthy of this, that we're going to make the league better just like the league's going to make us better. We were able to do that. To some degree, I think we still have to prove ourselves because now everybody's going to be going, well, are you guys a one-hit wonder? Was that a fluke? Do you really have the ability to do it again or to be competitive year in, year out? And we have confidence in what we think we can build here. We're going to be on everybody's radar now, but I don't think anybody's going, oh, yeah, we expect SMU to do that again. So we have to keep that same edge about ourselves as we've still got a lot to prove.
It's interesting. I think one of the more vivid memories for me a year ago is at the end of the championship game, you fighting for your team in the postgame.
Our team deserves a chance to be in. It doesn't matter what I say, but it would be incredibly wrong. I think it would be unprecedented. It would set a really bad precedent. It would break all the principles of what we've been told. So, I mean, if you're going to take a team that goes 8-0 in a power conference, one of the three best conferences, only two teams did that. We were in. We could have not showed up, and according to what we were told Tuesday night, we'd be in. So we showed up, and we competed our butts off, and I don't know. I don't know what to say. They don't care what I say, but we should be in. They know we should be in, so we'll see what happens.
You turned all the cards over because publicly you did, at least to me, it felt like you didn't want to have anybody have any lingering doubt when they woke up Sunday morning how you felt about where your football team was. Is that fair?
Yeah, and it's not a position you want to be in as a coach, but again, whoever the coach is in that position, you feel the need to fight for your team. And we had a chance in a great game against a great opponent to win and leave no doubt. We didn't do that. We fell short in a really good game, but I felt like our body of work, knowing we go into that game we're in, we should be in. But what really triggered it is obviously I hadn't thought about, well, if we lose, how are you going to handle this? You don't plan for those things.
Right.
But I went into that locker room and I felt the locker room. And a team that had just gone 11-1 in the regular season, now 11-2, and had just played their guts out in a great game and had done everything right to deserve to be in. I could feel they didn't trust the system that we were going to be in. They just didn't. They just felt like all the narratives they'd heard the last week to 10 days, and you knew they heard it even though we didn't talk about it.
Sure.
We had to win that game, and when we didn't, you could just feel like this is midnight on the East Coast, and at 11 or 12 hours, we're going to find out are we in or not. And oh, by the way, for whatever reason, it seems like it's either us or Alabama. Like, you could just feel that. And so I just felt like that's my job. You know, these guys lay it on the line for us. They trust us. If nothing else, no matter what happens, I can't control what happens, but my team's going to know I had their back. And it just so happened to help that I really genuinely believed what I was saying.
In some ways, is that a statement as much about last year's team as it is your program? You're going to be there. You're fighting through. We've done all we can do. That's last year's team, but that also feels like a statement about, this is one of the best teams in the country. We've proven it. You're making a statement about your program as much as you are your team.
Yeah, I think last year we had proved we were one of the 12 best teams, and we want to be a finishing team. We want to be a team that has that mentality of, look, the outcome's going to be what it's going to be. And so often you play the game and you're watching the scoreboard and it can affect how you play, man. We just got to continue to play SMU football, play to the standard that we've set for ourselves, and play together and play physical and compete and just keep doing those. And more times than not, you're going to look up and the scoreboard's going to go the way you want. And that was the culture we've tried to create. I think that's why our guys have been able to win at the level they have. Now we just got to find a way to sustain it.
All right. Is there anybody you've talked to in the off season that has helped you kind of say, okay, here's a nice thought. He gives you a thought. She gives you a thought about where you want this particular program to go in the next 5 or 10 years? Or is there an idea you've engineered about where you want this to go in the next 5 or 10?
Yeah, my first thought, there's not one person this offseason. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. And
who's the most interesting person you talked to in the offseason that we'd be surprised about?
Boy, I don't know.
Coach, maybe a leadership figure, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm always curious as to who reaches out or do you connect with who gives you something to build on with your team?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I go through phases. I don't, sitting here at this time of year, I don't necessarily have, sometime in June and July when I get away, that's when I kind of solidify the thoughts I've been having all spring about this is the direction for this year's team. Mm-hmm. But I'll say this, our strength coach, Sean Griswold, and I sat down and talked, and it was about, he said, something you said this season, I didn't even know I said it in the moment, during the season with our guys about week 9 or 10 was, hey, just keep chasing the standard. Keep chasing this. He goes, I want to run with that. I said, go for it. So, like, chase the standards all over our building. And I'm not a big slogan guy, but we've won the last 2 years at the level that, man, a standard has kind of been set up. This is how we expect to play football here at SMU in this new era.
Yeah. So
we're calling this team, we have to just keep chasing that. And if we keep chasing it, it has a chance to keep pushing it higher and higher and higher. And that's kind of where we are. I mean, if you're asking 5 or 10 years, we can win a national championship here. There's no doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
We have, now that we're in the ACC and we're on the same level playing field and we have the support we have and we have all the things moving in the right directions, we can do that. Does it take 5, 10 years? I don't know. It took 1 year to make the playoff. And again, every year is not going to be the same, but we have a chance to build something special here, and we just have to not compromise what got us there and keep chasing those standards.
We hear a lot about Springdale, Arkansas. What do we need to know about Springdale, Arkansas? Because if for those that have never been, it seems like this fictitious football fantasy land where people go, they play, and then they show up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're stars and they're from Springdale, Arkansas.
It's got to be about the chicken. I mean, it's the chicken capital of the world. You got Tyson food, George's chicken. So it must be all the chicken we eat. No, it's just a blue collar, hardworking town. And I grew up, my dad played at Springdale High School for a legendary coach, Gerald Williams, well before Gus took over there. And then of course Gus got Shiloh Christian, my school started, and it just was a good old school football town in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, and a lot of really good, influential people have come out of there. But for me, it's just home.
Yeah. It's interesting. You are the parents of 4. You and Lauren have 4 kids. You have 2 sets of twins.
We do.
What's the biggest challenge in 2 sets of twins?
Whew. The biggest challenge? I don't know, man. You know, 2 sets of twins is interesting. It's fun. It's a lot of chaos. I mean, but it goes to show if we don't have an efficient offense, then we got a problem. You know what I mean? But you know, the biggest challenge is just keeping the peace with those 4 because they never agree on anything. They love each other fiercely and they fight just as fierce. You know, and boys are almost 15. The girls just turned 9. And but I'll tell you this: it's the biggest joy in the world being their dad, and getting to be a part of their life and raising them with Lauren. As awesome as coaching is at SMU and all that stuff, I'd give it up right now for those 4 in a heartbeat. You know, I feel like that's our biggest calling, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing sharing the journey with them, you know, because sometimes you don't know. Being a coach's kid's tough.
Yeah.
Right? They lose out on a lot of things, but they also get to do a lot of things. Like people may not know it, but when I ran out of the tunnel with the team in Charlotte, my man Hudson was running right with me.
Yeah.
And we went and played at Louisville, and me and Thomas are out throwing the football in warm-ups. And you just get to do these special things with your kids that maybe you wouldn't get to do otherwise. Oh, and my girls question all the play calls, so that helps.
Pretty good. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Rhett Lashlee, head coach of SMU. Thanks for watching this special edition of ACC Huddle.